the American sense of it's still quite interesting. It was very fun. I highly recommend it. What are you watching though, Matar? So you can recommend it to all of us as well. Yes, Shayma, I just recorded it right now so that Miss Mohamed and Miss Duat don't kill me. How do I take care of my language? By making sure I include the 4 skills every day as much as I possibly can. So it's not hard and it's not challenging and it doesn't require a lot of effort. It requires mostly just dedication and time. And that is why we got to make sure we include that in our day, right? So this is something I actually learned from a therapist friend of mine who mentioned that everybody's busy because this is the main excuse that I keep getting in all of my sessions, right? That everybody's too busy to watch something, everybody's too busy to listen to something, too busy to read something. But where there's a will, there's a way, and it's about prioritization. So if you can prioritize your time, you should be fine. And also it's about managing, not just managing your time, but like multitasking is a thing. And that's I guess it's a double-edged sword, but technically multitasking through anything is what we do now, right? Our ADHD and everybody in this time and age of doing many things at the same time, we can use that to our benefit, right? So accordingly, I squeeze in English whenever I want to. So if I want to learn a new topic or something like that, if I want to read about something, I make sure that it's in English. I try to watch things before I go to sleep or when I'm eating, or if we're hanging out with my family, we have a movie night and we try to watch something. For us, it's either English or anime or this or that. But that's kind of the vibe that we do. I practice English by speaking as much as I can with my family and my friends. So that's also a way to make sure that I have English as much as possible. It is not, or it's not exactly, it's not something that's got to do with living abroad or just speaking, because input is even more important than output as well. Let's see. The Good Doctor is a great series, Sema. I completely agree. The Good Doctor is very, very nice. I actually stopped at season 5. I'm not sure what happened after. It was just getting good, but then I got busy and I actually got caught up with the Young Sheldon. If anybody heard of it, Young Sheldon is actually a really nice show as well. Why do I like Friends in particular? I like Friends in particular because it's got a lot of sense of humor, a lot of sarcasm specifically, and I speak fluent sarcasm. Do we know what satire is? Are you guys familiar with that word? Satire, sarcasm, and if you have seen Friends, basically Chandler's sense of humor. To be sarcastic, have we heard of this expression before? I've watched The Blacklist, Nuran. I've watched it already as well. It's actually very good. I watched it up until the pandemic started, and they had to finish a couple episodes with animation. So I watched that as well, but I didn't get a chance to finish it afterward. Black Mirror is scary. I'm not a big fan of like reality and reality thriller and things like that. I'm more of a leave me in my happy place, happy ending kind of girl. Um, Severance sounds scary, Abdurrahman. That sounds very horror like. I'm not sure what is that one. The Peaky Blinders was actually very nice. I watched it up until season 3, and then after they killed Gracie, I was really upset, and so I was like, I'm not gonna finish this. But the actor is actually really good. He's very, 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 very talented. Luther, I have not watched, but I plan to. I really, really plan to. Max, I'm a fan of you as well. I do want to get into the things that we want to talk about. I'm going to give you a lot of advice, Rasha, to improve our speaking like you. I'm going to give you a lot of advice, but you got to make sure that you actually apply it like Marwa. So Marwa had very interesting tasks to do to make sure that she actually applies them. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah. What do you mean how much it takes, Rasha? I didn't understand that question. Someone reinvent all inventors in now world after all people covered with stone freeze them. Are you telling? I feel like you're telling me about Dr. Stone, but I didn't understand the synopsis very much. The Day of the Jackal is a British series, Khalid. Okay, I'll take that actually sounds interesting. Day of the Jackal, Jackal and Dr. Hyde and things like that. The Office. I hear that The Office, the British version, is funnier than the American one. I watched the American one, of course, but I'm not sure. Mariam, no, I did not get a scholarship, but I do have family here, so we did move here. However, I did have family there too, but that's a long story. Effort, but there is no good result. So, Rasha, this is actually something that we're going to cover. This is a really good example. Now, the problem with English development or English improvement in general, when I am doing something in a specific way and I'm not seeing results, usually that means there's something wrong with the equation and I'm doing something wrong. Or I'm not focusing on improving a specific part of my language that needs to be fixed. So, for example, I have a headache, and instead of taking medication for my headache, I took medication for my feet. You see? So we're not really addressing the problem. And that's why you're feeling that there's no improvement. What you need to do is make sure that you know what it is that you need to work on, where the problem is, and accordingly tackle that problem alongside your language journey, right? So for example, you mentioned that you're doing or you're making a lot of effort, but there are no good results. So then probably or maybe there is something related to the effort that you're doing, because sometimes it's not just working hard and working smart, it's about a mixture of both plus the time factor. So all of those together come together to see if you're able to actually do it and meet the weakness points that you need to cover, right? Abdurrahman, what I mean by input is basically the language that you listen to or you read. Now, we have four skills, correct? Two of them have to do with language going in, basically, which is what we call input. And then two of them have to do with production or producing or output of the language, right? So that's why we have four skills. We've got listening and reading, and then we have speaking and, can someone tell me the fourth one? The fourth output or production related language part skill? Sora Magdi, there's no such thing as the best TV show for improving English. The best TV show or movie is one that you find interesting, right? Very good, Amira. Ironic satire or sarcasm is, in fact, something that has to do with irony. Irony is basically you saying something in a serious manner, where a funny situation, or opposite, where you say something funny or not serious in a serious situation. Young Sheldon is your cup of tea, Maro? I hope so. Abdurrahman House, Dr. House, or House MD is my favorite series. I completely agree. Amira, skeptical means doubtful. So ironic is more closer to the meaning of sarcasm, right? To be ironic or to laugh at irony. Shahd, The Walking Dead. I'm not a zombies person, unfortunately, but I hear good things. Bassem Yusuf is very sarcastic. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, Mahmoud, you cannot see the messages so that I can see it, so that I can keep track of everybody and I know what to see. Blind spot, not sure what that is, but it sounds interesting as well. How do you memorize new vocabulary? Oh, that's a very good question. Now, okay, what is the maximum number of vocabulary that could be memorized per day? All right, so if I were to talk to you from a specifically academic, research related, my experience in the teaching field, the maximum a student can learn or acquire a number of vocabulary in one session or in one class would be around seven. And this means that you are able to recall those vocabulary in a authentic manner. More than seven usually is not the best, and that's per session again, like I said. However, depending on how much context you provide, you're able to link things together more and you're able to put in more vocabulary along the way. So, long story short, you want the key to vocabulary: context. Lots and lots of context. Did you start? Yes, Lobna, I have started. I used to watch American series and movies, but now I prefer K-drama. Then let's not be surprised why your English is still where it is, huh, Noor? Although English subtitles aren't very bad for your vocabulary, if I'm completely honest. The Haunting Hill, You're asking about the period which required to improve. I've had for me, if whenever someone asks me about time related to improvement and how you can get from one stage to another in English, I always have one very good friend of mine who is the best example ever. He went from an A1, which is absolutely the very bottom of the CEFR, which means that he didn't even have vocabulary. And he went from A1 to a C1 and was able to teach English in the span of 2 years, I believe. So he went from absolutely nothing to absolutely everything. So he was actually, I think he reached a C2 as well. And that was the span of 2 years. For people who are looking just to be fluent or for them to get a specific band, there are smarter ways, there are shortcuts, there are things that you can do to focus on specific skills, as I mentioned earlier. A Native American show, Sara, please explain. Nice to see you too, Sohair. I speak like bad English. There is a lot of pauses. That's what we're going to talk about today. Yay. All right, mashallah, everybody got it. Writing. Very good. So we've got writing. That's the one. Nurhan, please explain your question. How do you determine the problem if you did not achieve the results? Oh, very good. So when I am in the middle of an equation, right? When you're in the middle of an equation and you have 1 plus 1 equals 3, do we look at the result or do we look at the equation? Which one do you think the problem is at? What do you guys think? You look at the result. Interesting. Okay. The equation, the results. Listening a lot. Oh, okay, Mr. Number person. Listening a lot helps my fluency. I completely agree. Your inputs, they're very good, Abdullah. Results, Noor. Okay. Results. So if I have, or if I do 1, 2, 3 things, for example, I wake up early and I eat a lot of fast food, right? I eat a lot of fast food, I eat a lot of sugar, and I'm gaining weight. So I'm gaining weight. Okay. So the problem here is that I'm gaining weight. Do I keep looking at the fact that I'm gaining weight, or do I look at the things happening before the weight gain? Or do I look at the habits of the food that I'm eating? Which one do I look at? Which one do I have to examine or investigate or look at more to find out what's going on? Do I look at the fact and just keep looking at the number, or do I look at what happened before that led to this? Exactly. There you go. So you look at the reason, you look at the equation, you look at the things that happened before that, right? You're looking at all of the things that happened before the result, not just the result. All right. And this is, by the way, like a scientific method of solving situations or problems, right? So you don't just sit there and look at the problem. You're going to be looking at what led to the problem. And so accordingly, if I am, for example, watching a movie and I'm taking down notes of the vocabulary that's there and I'm writing it down, and I'm watching all of these things, but I'm still writing a lot of the vocabulary and I still feel lost whenever I watch something. So then maybe, like at the end, the result is my listening is not very good. I still feel lost when I listen without subtitles, right? So what I'm doing is I'm watching with subtitles and I'm taking down notes about all the vocabulary and all the words that they're using. Okay. And at the end of the many movies and the many series that I'm watching, I still feel like I cannot speak well. I still feel like I am lost when I'm listening. All right. So then here, I'm going to stop and I'm going to look at the problem, or I'm going to see maybe I am doing something wrong. Maybe I'm watching this in a different, like in a different way. Maybe I'm supposed to do something different instead of pausing and writing down the vocabulary or taking down notes, right? Right. So then this is what I mean by looking at the equation. I need to determine, all right, so my listening is bad because 1, I am not able to understand the vocabulary, or 2, it's because the English they're speaking really fast, or maybe I'm watching with subtitles. Now, because of course this is not your profession, you are not always going to know the answer, which is why we are here. And by we, I mean English instructors. We're probably going to diagnose and find out what it is that you're doing so that we can tell you what you're doing is wrong or right, and we can direct your efforts in the right way to make sure that you get the results that you want to. By the way, if I'm speaking too fast, please let me know and I will repeat myself. Very good. They're using a lot of idioms in movies. Yes, of course they do. Sometimes idioms are a fun way to say something and make the conversation more intriguing, right? To make it nice and interesting. We do that a lot in Arabic too, which is fair. However, it is not as much as you think it is. I'm focusing on the American accent, so I don't listen to BBC videos in order not to confuse myself. Is that right? That's fine, Hassan. That's perfectly fine. Yes. Um, accent, culture, things that you want to use or acquire, pick up from being a band 7, 8 to a band 9. Always make sure that you are focusing on whatever it is that you are targeting. So, for example, if your goal is to be able to travel to America and speak very well and engage with your colleagues in conversation and so on and so forth, make sure that you are watching American American movies and series. However, if you're going to the UK, my suggestion would be for you to start checking out some British series. I do want to get into this fluency tips that I want to give you guys. So let's see if I see any more questions. Hiba, there are a couple of AI tools that you can use to practice with. However, unfortunately, most of them have a tutorial phase or a 2 weeks free phase, and then after that, in order to unlock more perks, you need to buy the full version. There are a couple of names. There was unfortunately that like most of them that I've tried, most of them start free, and so then by the time I tell them to my students, they become not free. So among them was Elsa, there was B Speaker, there was Hello, there was Talk Talk. There were so many things. How do you overcome what may be disappointing in the middle of the journey of learning English? Nurhan, please clarify. What do you mean? ChatGPT is not bad. ChatGPT is actually much better than Gemini as well in terms of speaking. It's able to like speak very well. Oh, very good. Amira apparently tried, and she tried practicing with ChatGPT, and it helped her go from a 7 to a 7.5. That's not bad at all, Amira. What are you listening to? What are you reading? Gemini is not bad, Hanan, but it is a lot less compared to ChatGPT. I found that ChatGPT is actually a lot more human-like when it comes to conversations and speaking to it, which is cool. It's even better than what is it called? Siri as well.
Uh-huh.
Oh, she heard me. Okay, so let's get into this really quickly. I'm here today to talk to you guys a little bit about tips and advice about how to improve your fluency. Now, I know that alhamdulillah, most of you guys have or you're already taking the IELTS course with Dr. Khalil. And among the things that you guys need to work on is probably your speaking skill. So today I'm here to talk to you guys a little bit about what you can do to work on your fluency. Now, can anybody tell me what fluency means? How to pronounce the letter P correctly. Nuran, you're going to put your hand in front of your mouth and you're going to say P. If you feel air on your hand, you are saying it correctly. If you are not feeling any air on your eyes, on your hands, then you are saying it incorrectly. So paper. There should be air on your hand, right? And the opposite would be baby. If you say baby, there should be no air. Baby. Paper. Okay, Nuran? Speak casually, flow of ideas, speaking confidently. I love it. Okay. Speaking without many pauses. Nice. Speaking fluency to speak correctly, said Ali. That's an interesting thing. Shayma, to speak like a native speaker. Okay, very good. Not bad. No, very good. Nice. Speaking smoothly. Nazal, what does that mean? To express your ideas without hesitation. Very good. To speak without pauses. Also very good. All right, so that's a mix of everything. Now, here's my question to you: is to be fluent does it mean that you have to speak very fast? Hmm. No. So it's got nothing to do with how fast you speak, correct? All right, very good. Now let's talk a little bit about the pauses situation, because pauses kind of is a little bit of a hindrance to your language. Is there a way that I can manage my pauses while I'm speaking so that it doesn't seem like it is something that is lack of fluency or lack of confidence or lack of vocabulary, what can we do to manage our pauses? Because pauses are going to happen. We are human, right? Fillers, that's one. Very good. What else? Connect your sentence, get good flow of the words. Very good, Noor. Yes. I think fast comes from practice, but not essential. Yes, Ali, I agree. And it's mainly got to do with your personal preference as well. As a human being, are you a person that tends to speak fast when you're in a conversation, or someone who likes to take things slow? And that's got nothing to do with English and Arabic. It's more of a personality kind of thing. Connectors. All right. So we've got fillers, connectors, starters. Okay. Like basically, well, very good. Very good, very good. That's what they are, Jana. Jana, close our lips as much as possible. Close or open, Abdullah? Positive pauses, Nurhan, please explain. That's a very good one. What is that? What's a positive pause? Intonation, Rasha. Perfect. Not Ali? Oh, sorry, that dash. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, Dr. Sayed. I see that as an I. Goodness gracious. I am very sorry. It's been a very long day. Very nice to meet you, Dr. Sayed. Vary your voice. Very good. That's what intonation is. Very good. Very good. Learn ideas to be more familiar with the question and topics. All right, I think your name is Nazel. There's two Z's. All right. Very good. Very good. Close by collecting. Then when we are about to pause, like, Abdullah, you lost me. I don't know what that means. A wide range of vocabulary. All right, Soda. Very good. According to the situations. There we good. Just Nurhan caught me. All right. So Nurhan was talking about positive. She was talking about positive pauses, and one of the things she mentioned as well. That is a good question. Let me think. I'm not an expert, but let me blah blah blah. Right. These little bits and pieces are very good for your fluency. Thought it mentioned a very interesting point as well. According to the situation, you can manage your intonation and how fast or slow you want to say something and emphasize specific parts. So I can speak very slowly as I'm doing right now. However, this does not mean that my fluency is actually bad, correct? Now, there is a difference between connected speech and disconnected speech, or what I'm doing right now with fluency and basic emphasis of showing how important something is. Regularly practicing is always helpful, Ihab. That's what we're going to talk about. Yes, Reda, you cannot see my chat because it's my chat, so I can see. 6, how to improve our speaking fluency? Yes, I can, Dr. Said. I can actually. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Now, a couple of tips that we can do to work on our fluency. Number 1, shadowing. The meaning of shadowing, and this is basically kind of why I asked you guys about what you are watching series and movies wise, because this is what we're going to use. Now, you're watching a show or you're watching a series, and then a situation that happened in front of you, it felt very interesting. Like, I think this is something I can copy, right? Yes, Hassan, it is called shadowing. Now, shadowing comes from the word shadow, where you copy or imitate something or someone the same way they do it, right? So, hi, like that. What we're going to do is you're going to get that scene or get that specific situation that happened in the movie or the series, and you are going to copy exactly what they'd said and how they said it. Now, this point is very important because a lot of people think that, oh, I'll just read the script and I'm fine. No, you need to actually copy their intonation, their body gestures, their voice, their facial expressions, the whole thing. Why? Because it builds confidence. And also, it's going to give you a chance to feel how it feels when people say things connected speech wise or in a specific manner. Now, repeating it a couple of times is great. My advice to you is to do this and record yourself video. I know it's very awkward to look at yourself in the mirror and do this, but it's actually very helpful. And if possible, even try recording with your video. Yes, Matar, exactly. You have to shadow Thomas Shelby. Thomas Shelby is a character, for those of you who don't know. Thomas Shelby is one of the main characters, or if not the main character, or the protagonist of the show called Peaky Blinders. And he's very good. He's very, very smart. How long should you do that, Shaymet? As long as it takes for you to not to be shy. The more, the better. All right. So that's number one. We're going to shadow and we're going to video record ourselves doing that. Okay. That's number one. Number two, there's something called STEM starters or STEM sentences. And they're actually pretty good. I'm going to send you guys an example of some of them. Let me get it from my PPT. 1 second. Now, basically, what these sentences are just like bits and pieces of how you can start a sentence that include common expressions. And these common, very by default sentences that you have, it will show you guys. Let me put this to everyone. 1 second. There you go. It will show you some examples, right? So usually I like to do this. On specific dates, I do this. In this year, I do that, and so on and so forth. These little parts and these little bits and pieces kind of come naturally after you have read them and used them a couple of times. And so because they've already been memorized in your brain, you're able to recall them a lot faster. In my opinion, watching documentary or a movie is better, to improve my English vocabulary. Your vocabulary, then probably a documentary if you're looking for vocabulary. And you should be looking at vocabulary if your listening skill is already 100% and you are perfectly fine with it. Noor, I can imagine you watching Al Pacino movies, you said? Well, you said, what was it? Where to go? A lot of scenes starring, not two, we don't say two in English, right? A lot of scenes starring Al Pacino. I agree. And then you have to like do the Godfather thing and Robert De Niro. So that was called shadowing. What Sarah, are you talking about the series Thomas Shelby? The series is called Peaky Blinders. It's called The Peaky Blinders. Be careful, it's kind of a little bit of a dark series. Okay. So if you're like a romantic, lovey-dovey, very sensitive girl, be careful. All right. Scent of a Woman, Noor. Yes, that's a classic. Very good. I think I saw a question here by Dr. Sayed. Iheb, yes, shadowing means to listen to scenes in movies and series and copy them and imitate them 100%. Do not read the script, but you must actually act it out. That is the meaning of shadowing. Sometimes I hear well, doctor, yeah, but when I turn on the captions, oh, okay. So when you turn on the captions, you feel like you hear well, but when it turns off, you can't keep up with the speech. Then that means probably that you are reading, not that you are listening, Dr. Said. So you need to actually keep watching without subtitles. Your issue is not that. Thank you, Marwa. These are called STEM. These are basically, they're called STEM sentences, and they usually have kind of like a theme situation. And it's a great way for you to make sure that you remember how to start a conversation when I'm talking about something in the past or a specific date, so on and so forth. These are the examples of it. See, Peaky Blinders, yes, it is I guess it's a British series. They speak British English. They don't speak American. Is there a YouTube channel I recommend shadowing? Yes, actually I do. It's called Movie Clips. There's a YouTube channel called Movie Clips that I absolutely love. It's kind of a bit shorter than a trailer, but they have like little snippets of scenes from different movies, and they're very, very nice. And I love giving assignments from them. So if you have a little bit of extra time on your hands, go ahead and subscribe to that channel. It's called Movie Clips. I've sent the name in the chat. Could you please help me, as my grammar is really good, but sometimes when I talk, I miss up. Sama, reading that sentence, it tells me already that your listening is not enough because I don't say miss up, right? I mess up. Mess up E, not I. Miss, right? So that means your listening is still a little bit, it needs a little bit of work because I know that you know how to spell mess. I'm sure you know how to spell it 100%. But because you haven't listened to it a lot being said in the specific correct way, your automatic response was to write it down according to the pronunciation you heard it before. Can you please, just read this one, sorry. A shadowing should be a copy of movies or series. I can shadow audios of Dr. Muhammad or any documentary. Abdul Hamid, what I recommend is to shadow specific situations in different scenarios. So, if, for example, if you're looking to practice your idioms, make sure that you are using it in a specific situation because it has a lot more authentic body language and context where you are able to act out things a lot more in detail rather than watching a lecture or an academic point of view. Same text that I hear, or I can represent this with my style. No, the shadowing means not in your own style, but in the style that you have seen. So it does not mean to bring it to bring your touch to it. It's actually the opposite. It's to make you feel what it's like to say this word in this specific context, in this specific exact pronunciation. This sounds the same way. So it's the opposite. It's to take you away from your style of learning and to put you in a position where it's more native like. What is the difference between I and E? The short E sound is eh. I say this with my students a lot. The eh sound is a little bit flatter. My mouth is opened just a tad and my jaw drops a tiny bit. So it's egg, elephant, eh. And it comes from right here, right? If you're an English teacher, you would know this from the linguistic little chart that we have with the vowel sounds. If it's a short I, however, it comes more from the top of your mouth and it is sharper. It's I, hill, right? Until, not tell. So until, and then we have tell, L, tell, till, tell, till. Pay the bill, right? Ring the bell. There you go. Where how to improve smoothness while talking? Ihab, that is not a clear question, my friend. Can you please rephrase that? What if my pronunciation and intonation are good, but when it oh, what happened? There's no sound. Can you hear me now? Anywho, not sure why I was kicked out, but yeah. Hi. That was a scary 2 seconds. I hope everybody's okay. Phonetics is not difficult per se. It's not hard, but it is something that I would recommend. If you are not going to be teaching phonetics, then I would highly recommend that you direct your energy towards shadowing and practicing and applying and recording yourself as much as possible to fix your pronunciation. Do not worry your pretty little mind with the details of the science behind phonetics and phonemic charts and things like that. There was darkness for 2 seconds. Darkness shall prevail. I'm sure that you felt like you have prevailed. Very good. All right, there you go, Hanan. So because you're not a teacher, then don't worry your mind with all of the different phonemic charts and the different phonemic symbols. And trust me, it's a headache that you so don't need. So focus more on the practical aspect of the pronunciation and what you need to do to make sure that you're able to produce similar sounds as these. That would be my best advice to you. I work as a homeroom teacher, so I speak English daily without any issues. Very good. I also give lectures in front of crowds, and my ideas flow smoothly and clearly. Your sentences are actually very nice as well, Selma. When I take a mock IELTS speaking test, I tend to pause a lot and experience mind blocks. Any tips would be to slow down. So remember how I mentioned earlier that one of the things that you can do regarding your pauses is to work on your intonation and your body language and manage it in a way that is clear. and just a tad slower, just a pace that is a tad slower, so that you can disguise it in the form of emphasis. So it looks like you're stressing on important factors and important things, but that you're not actually being, what is it called? You're not stuttering, or you're not struggling, or you're not pausing. You're actually kind of emphasizing for dramatic effect, right? So that would be my advice to you, Selma. Try to practice expressing yourself and answering with this idea of prioritizing where to take your pauses. Take a breath, right? And show, well, I think that this is better than this. This it comes from the fact that a lot of people try to see how I'm going through this, and then this kind of buys you time to collect your thoughts and collect what you want to say, and then you shoot from there. Um, um, Gamal, I believe. No, Gamal, I did not see your inquiry. No, I did not. I'm sorry. Can you please send it again? There's just a lot going on. Recommend the best podcast for me, always and forever. It's going to be a revisionist history. I'm a sucker for history and general knowledge, and those two came together with this podcast. It's by a very famous, popular um, author named Malcolm Gladwell. He's a very interesting person, and he has very interesting takes on life and points of views. So that's my favorite podcast of all time. It's the reason why I started listening to podcasts. There's also another one for Marwa that I really want her to listen to. Marwa, if you're still there, it's called A Slight Change in Plans. It is also American, and it's a very, very, very nice podcast. Marwa, I really want you to listen to it. It's called A Slight Change in Plans, and it's basically about handling changes as they happen. Right? Oh, can I write it? Sure, I can definitely write it. Let me put it in the chat so that it's easier for everybody to copy and paste. So my favorite one, Abdurrahman, is a revisionist history. This is the general knowledge one, right there. That's my favorite one. Another one that I fell in love with that is actually really nice. It's called A Slight Change of Plans. There it is. Oh, my fingers are too full to type. What does smoothly mean, Ihab? That's not clear to me. Sarah, your English is incredible. During Nurhan, the examiner told me I hesitated during speaking. What should I do? Ask her what. I'm assuming this is from the wonderful speaking examiners that we have in the Dr. Khalil's IELTS camp. Make sure you ask her where is it that you were hesitant, so that you can track down and figure out why you were hesitant. Were you hesitant because you were nervous, or because you were lacking ideas, or what? If you are nervous, then you need to take a breath and make sure that you are not thinking about the results and the outcomes, so that you don't freak out. Because I think I remember you being very stressed out. And number two, if it's because you lack ideas, make sure that you know how to buy yourself time by using in the fillers and the little common sentences that you can use until your brain catches up and you're able to provide actual inputs and opinions. Let's see. Or movie or series from that we can advance vocabulary and do shadowing. Dr. Sayed, I believe those are two contradicting things. So vocabulary, in my opinion, should be, if you're going to watch something for vocabulary, there's a huge chance you're not going to be focusing on the actual listening part, because your ears are going to be literally dedicated to catching specific things. And so this is not going to be improving your listening skill, hence your fluency and your speaking. However, if you want to focus on vocabulary, go ahead, turn subtitles on, and go ahead. Anything that you want to listen to is fine. I recommend documentaries mostly, or scientific podcasts if that is something that you are interested in, or academic podcasts. There's also a podcast called Advanced English or Level Up English. That's actually really nice for IELTS candidates. I think I already answered that question. In shadowing, I hear the audio, then write the script to understand the new words, then I imitate him while listening more than one time. More recording. Is this right? Nurhan, I want you to take a video of yourself while you are shadowing without looking at the piece of paper and see, is it close to what you just saw or not? If it's the same, then you're on the right track. If it's different, and I think it's going to be, most likely, then that means that you need to not write it down and try to copy what you hear. This is something that a lot of people tend to forget. Because we learned English in yes, Marwa, it's called advanced English. This is another podcast. So a lot of people forget that a lot of people forget that we learned English in a specific way and we used our eyes rather than our ears and our minds and stuff like that. And so the way we acquired or learned, let's say, the way we learned English is a lot different from how it actually is or how it's used. And so when we try to apply what we learned to how it actually is, we don't really get the best results. What you should do is accept whatever it is that you're picking up and try to imitate that and go off of that, not vice versa. So, Nurhan, what I'm trying to say is do not try to put your touch. Instead, try to take it as it is and try to produce something similar to it. I am positive that you have good vocabulary. That is why I'm telling you to take it as it is. Can we practice in a conversation? Yes, Mariam, conversation is very good. It's really nice. But these tips are the tips I have for you today are mostly just for people who do not have a group of people to practice with and they would like to work on their fluency. And that is why I'm mentioning recording yourself so that you're able to have feedback and something to refer to as reference. Smooth refers to doing something in a seamless, effortless manner. I want to be able to speak effortlessly without thinking too much time in the grammar or vocabulary mistakes. Ah, yes. So here you want to speak effortlessly and without thinking too much before you speak. Well, to speak effortlessly, you got to make sure that you're practicing. That's number one. Without thinking first, then you need to make sure that you are not thinking in Arabic. So you got to make sure that there's actual English in your mind that you are using. Those are two different things. And yes, Nuran is absolutely correct. Practice makes perfect. So to answer your question, I think it's Iheb, I believe I'm answering. Yes. Watch a lot of series, no subtitles, and shadow what you just heard as much as you can. And then try to talk to someone around these topics or mention what you talked about or what you experienced every day as much as you possibly can. With my students, what I tend to do to build fluency is that we build a habit. And the habit is usually for us to start the session with an icebreaker to talk about our day or what we did and so on and so forth. Slowly with this part, the habit kind of imprints a little bit on your fluency and you're able to recall and engage in discussions easier. What we call this part is called small talk. And it's usually the greatest stepping stone to actually deeping into conversations and being able to produce language a lot easier and more authentically. If I have an interview, should I use idioms or not? So here it depends on what the interview is, my dear. Is it for a teaching position? Is it for something higher, lower, like this? Oh, we're already done, Mariam. We're about to end, my dear. We're about to leave. We've got 6 minutes and counting before Zoom kicks us out. Oh, I'm sorry, Monica. I didn't hear you. No. My question was, if my pronunciation and intonation are good, it comes to talk sentence, not clear sometimes with some grammar mistakes, spontaneous. Even I am aware of them. So Monica, the issue is that even with your writing, my dear, there seems to be grammatical issues. So we need to work on the grammar. We got to make sure that it's actually correct. So my question is to you, how much Arabic do you have within your language journey? Are you picking up vocabulary through Arabic, yes or no? And when you are building sentences and when you are answering things, writing or speaking, are you using Arabic in any part of the process? Yes or no? That's going to determine my next part. Should I memorize thousands of vocabularies, Yumna? I personally will tell you no. However, if you feel like it's going to give you confidence to memorize some vocabulary, stepping stones, 100% yes. There are actually very good vocabulary books for IELTS specifically that are very nice, including I think Dr. Khalil and Mr. Ali published one recently as well. I do want to point out, however, that memorizing these vocabulary will serve as a very short-term, very basic need. It is not to overall enhance your language as a whole. So please be careful and be wary of that. Hannah, I don't have a conversation course in March because inshallah I'm going to take Ramadan off. However, I will be back after Ramadan and then I will be giving my usual sessions inshallah after Ramadan. So feel free to talk to Dr. Dai or Mr. Dai, sorry, Mr. Wow, she's gonna kill me. Miss Dai or Miss Muga about the details for it. Mustafa, wallah, I did not see it. I cannot see it. Did I make you? I'm not mad at you. I can never be mad at you, Mustafa. But I didn't see it. I promise. I'm sorry. There's just so much happening. Um, are there going to be more meetings like today? Yes, inshallah. I do believe you guys are going to have one with Dr. Azza, I believe. I think Miss Mohaga or Miss Dua are going to send you a picture or a leaflet to talk about things. But I do want, hey, darkness, do not tell Mr. Dua anything, okay? I didn't say that. Nobody tell her, please. First, we think in Arabic, then we speak in English. Yes, exactly. Because we think in Arabic and then we speak in English, the fluency dies and the grammar and the structure and everything dies. That's why please don't. Script, right? Nurhan, I recommend that you understand and imitate, yes, without writing the script. Yes. If I'm shadowing, please depend on your ears and then record yourself so that you can see how much of what you just saw you were able to mimic. If you write in the middle, you are going to start reading what you wrote instead of copying what you heard. Make sense? So again, the fluency thing, my tip for you for today that I'd like you to take away from this is to record yourself with video. Shadowing, recording yourself with video. Those two things are the top things that you can take from this. Yes, send it again. I write short stories with AI, so this can improve my language. All right, So are we working on grammar or vocabulary, Mustafa? And you're the one who writes it, and then you send it to the AI to correct it. Did I understand this correctly? Is there any collection of famous words to talk about? Did I misunderstand that? Oh, Yumna, that's a very good question. You need to ask Dr. Khalil about that. I am not sure if you're allowed to say words like inshallah and alhamdulillah, because technically they are still Arabic. Despite that they are Islamic, they are still Arabic. In a conversation, go for it. But in IELTS, I don't think it's a good idea. You should double check with Dr. Khalil just in case. Mustafa, yes. All right, that's fine. Yes, writing short stories is wonderful, but take it a step further or take it up a notch and read a story, read an article, something like that. And then I want you to paraphrase them. I want you to paraphrase it into the short paragraph and then send it to chat to correct it. Out of curiosity though, Mustafa, what is the main issue that it comments on? What does it tell you that your biggest problem is? And apparently, Yumna, no, do not use them. Dr. Khalil and Marwa say, nope, don't use it. You can say God willing, like the literal translation. A slight change of plans. It is not a YouTube channel. It is actually a podcast by Pushkin Industry. It's a podcast. You can find it anywhere you watch podcasts. Yep, God willing, thanks God. Yes, very good. Mustafa, it is a comic, like a comic book, like a comic book with little pictures, like a manga, like an anime. Where's darkness shall prevail? I feel like you're an anime person. You seem very dark like a person. Ah, okay, that's not bad. That's actually very good, Mustafa. As long as you're able to paraphrase it. However, if from like if you want some advice about how it would be better for you, is to read an actual article or an actual story, and then you make a story out of it using your own words. That would be better so that you can see if you're able to pick up any of the new vocabulary from what you read instead of just coming up with and using your own vocabulary from the comics. All right. All right, you guys, before we're kicked out, it was very nice to meet you. I hope you guys apply the technique that I talked about today in detail. I'm sure it's going to be very beneficial for you. Remember the things that we mentioned regarding the language, how we've learned it and how we apply it. And because of this difference, we got to make sure that we are copying exactly what we hear in the same manner we hear it so that we can fully benefit from it. Do not put your touch to whatever it is that you have. It is not great. All right. Hopefully, I think we'll see you guys soon, inshallah. It was very nice to meet all of you guys. Thank you so much for coming. Enjoy your weekend and Ramadan Kareem until I see you, inshallah. another session to practice together? Sure, Mariam, inshallah. I don't want to leave either, Abdullah. You shouldn't have been absent. But yeah, bye, everybody. Be safe. Enjoy your weekend. Bye.